We did it. The Tennessee Titans won the Sucker Bowl. And welcome back to another Titan Bros video. I am your host, Gabriel Pilcher. Once again, my younger brother, Josiah, will not be here for the same reason as last week. He is not here because he did not watch the game, and he doesn't want to get on here and try to tell you people his hot takes of the game. If he didn't even really watch the game, he sort of kind of kept an eye on it. Full transparency, it was our mother's birthday party that we were at, but I had the game pulled up on my phone, and I regrettably probably paid more attention to the game than I did my mother on her birthday, but it'll be okay. So at least I can kind of talk with somewhat of an idea what happened. So the Tennessee Titans did defeat the Patriots 20-17. It did take overtime to do it. It was an interesting game. It was an interesting game to say the least. I feel like most of the game, it was following the exact same script that we saw over and over and over. This is the same script we used against the Bears, against the Jets, against the Colts. And honestly, and it even kind of was that way in some of the other games as well, where at the beginning of the game, we are moving the ball pretty well offensively. Even the defense is making some stops. Do you remember when we went against the Bills? I think the first 3 or 4 drives were 3 and outs and they punted, and we were up 10-0. That's pretty well kind of how this game started as well, where our offense was moving the ball well. You felt good about everything. Defense was doing solid. And then the second half happens and everything goes to crap, which this is something that needs to be addressed in the long term, especially if we do keep Callahan around for another year or two. And we were this close to having all a heck break loose. Started off, they had one more drive to try to tie the game at the end. First of all, they get a nice 25-ish yard return, so they only at the 50-yard line, so they only need 50 yards to go for the touchdown. And I was like, here we go. Here we go again. It's a game where most of the time we're leading in the driver's seat, or the worst-case scenario, it's a tie. And here comes the other team. I've seen this story before. I know how it ends. And they went down the field, not because of Drake May's arms, but because of his legs. So I don't know why he was running wild the way he was. But by golly, he ran all over us. Ran him all the way down the field. Last play of the game, we only rushed 3, which I don't like. I kind of like Denard Wilson and his defense and his choices most of the time. I was not a fan. I was not a fan of the rushing 3 because he had all day just standing there until a couple people from the secondary actually blitzed. And as he's falling, he just chucks it up in the air, which honestly, that was the smart thing to do because I have so many times I feel like seen Tannehill and honestly even Mariota, I remember back in the day, where it'd be 4th down on the last drive and they'd take a sack. Where I'm like, how are you taking a sack on 4th down on the last drive of the game? At least, even if you literally just throw it straight up in the air, let somebody try to get under it and make something happen. So that was actually a really good play on Drake May, just throwing it up to a guy on his way down, and they scored. I'm like, great. 16-17. They're about to win this thing, aren't they? And I feel like they should have gone for 2. I feel like if they would have gone for 2, they would have scored. They would have won. And just like that, it'd be heartbreak in Nashville, 18-17. They win the game. But they opted to just kick the extra point, take it to overtime, and that be that. And obviously we did a 7.5 minute drive and stalled and kicked a field goal. And then our defense came up big. Amani Hooker, good job. And that was how the game went. I'm not sure why I just gave you a 5-minute play-by-play on how the game went as if y'all weren't there. But the question of the day, and I think it's a question that has a lot of Titans fans, honestly, myself included. How do you feel about us winning? Yippee hooray, we're 2-6 now. That's amazing. It's fantastic even. 2-6. Obviously, our season's still shot. We're not making any postseason push even. Unless Will Levis comes back from injury and starts playing like his Heine's on fire. But like, I know my brother, Josiah, I'm sure you'll hear this next time if he's ever on another episode this season. How do we feel about the fact that we just won this game? If we would have lost, we'd be holding the number 1 overall pick. But since we won, we're picking at pick number 9 at the moment. So was a morale victory? Am I saying this right? Was that worth possibly spoiling the number 1 overall pick? It's a good question. And I kind of feel myself going back and forth. Part of me says it's too early to just be rooting for us to lose out. Like, it just is. Like, how can you be a fan and ask to be rooting for your team to lose out? And you could say, well, we have no chance at the Super Bowl this year. Let's be honest. 85% of teams know before they even take their first snap of the first game of the year that they don't really have any shot at the Super Bowl. So couldn't you use that same logic to say those teams should never even try to win a single game? They should just go 0-17 every single season? Now, obviously, that's an extreme and kind of a goofy way to look at it. But like, if we're mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, I understand rooting for us to lose. Because I'll be honest, last year, low-key, the last 3 games or so, I was wanting us to lose. And, we, for the most part, we did. Gave us J.C. Latham, who's been very solid. But I don't know. It's like you want to have, like, we're going to be bad this year. We're going to be picking high in the draft. But I don't want it to look so disgusting where it looks like as the season goes on, we only have more and more and more holes to fill. You know what I'm saying? So I'm okay with us getting a couple close wins. And if we lose some close losses, that would be nice. So that way we actually look like we're just, oh yeah, if we just get a quarterback who's a little better, if we get some more edge rusher help, if we get a right tackle that's at least average, maybe we got something. I think that's kind of what I'm wanting. It's kind of what I'm looking for at the moment. So I'll take it. It's a dub. I'll take it. We're going to go over some stats here real quick. Mason Rudolph, I thought, was just very average because there's still those people who are like, oh, Mason Rudolph, he's gives us the best chance to win every single week. And in some ways he might, but in the same time, he's not doing anything impressive. He's not doing anything special. Because he was 20 of 33, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. I mean, that's solid quarterback play. It kind of looks like a Ryan Tannehill game, if I'm being 100% honest with you. Not 2019 and 2020, because for some reason those 2 years he went crazy. But 2021 to 2023, these are kind of Ryan Tannehill looking numbers. Now, I'm trying not to get too negative on a victory, but Pollard was good for us. 28 carries, 128 yards, 4.6 average. He also had 3 catches for 26 yards. He was basically almost all of our offense. And the conversation I did have with Josiah, I was okay with Derrick Henry is probably my favorite Tennessee Titan of all time. I was okay with us letting him leave. I thought that was the right decision. Because we were sold a bill of goods that said we will be a passing offense now. And that's why I was 100% okay letting Derrick Henry leave. Go on, live your life as a Raven. And we're gonna throw the rock around a little bit. But our passing game struggles. And it struggled in almost every single game. And now suddenly we're back to giving our bell cow back 28 carries. And we're just a run first team that all we can do with any type of consistency is run the ball. If you would have told me that's what our offense would actually be, I would have absolutely wanted Derrick Henry back. Because as good as Tony Pollard has been for us, there is no bell cow back that just runs the ball over and over and over better than Derrick Henry. In fact, Derrick Henry already has 1,000 yards on the season. And we're, 9 games? He's 9 games into it. So great job, Pollard. Happy about Pollard. But at the same time, we'd probably have another win or 2 or 3 if Derrick Henry was our RB. But I suppose that is neither here nor there. All right, moving on. Chestnut ran pretty well, too. He had 5 rushes for 22 yards, 4.4 average. So that's respectable, I suppose. Calvin Ridley, he's definitely cemented himself as wide receiver 1. He wasn't spectacular, but he was solid. He had a couple drops again, which apparently that's just part of his game. But honestly, that was kind of part of A.J. Brown's game, but you took it because you knew A.J. Brown was legit. A dog, as they say. But Calvin Ridley, 5 catches for 73 yards. Good job. Good stuff. And I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. The second best wide receiver on our roster is Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. The fact that he just cannot get himself a starting role unless people get hurt or traded is just confusing to me. It's very confusing to me. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, only 6 targets, but on those 6 targets, he had 5 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown. 4-game stretch, 4 games in a row with a touchdown. There's no way you're telling me Treylon Burks is better than Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. Honestly, I don't think at 29, ready to be 30 years old, I don't think Tyler Boyd's better than Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. Like if we still had DeAndre Hopkins, I miss him too. He'll be playing here in a couple hours. But if we had DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, and Nick Westbrook-Ikhine as our top 3 wide receivers, that's honestly not a bad gig. Not a bad gig at all. And speaking of Tyler Boyd, maybe I'm being too harsh, but does he look washed to you? I feel like he does not look to me like he has a whole lot of get up and go to him anymore. Maybe I'm full of crap, but I feel like he looks like he's pretty well washed. I know Sam Phelan of A to Z Sports was reporting that he had been hearing that Tyler Boyd's lost a step, and I would say probably has. Like it was the right move to do to sign him because in the slot we had Kyle Phillips or Jaquan Jackson, and on paper it was absolutely an upgrade, and it was a super cheap deal as well. But I don't know. It'll be all right though, because it's just a 1-year deal, so he'll be gone before you know it. All right. Any other wide receiver or pass catchers? Apparently, Nick Vannett is just that dude, as they say. For some reason, we love getting Nick Vannett involved in our passing game. But I feel like because nobody expects him to get involved, he always is wide open when we throw him the ball. He even got himself in the end zone. I think it was actually only 2 catches today. It was 2 for 33 and a touchdown, but I see you, Nick Vannett. Okonkwo was solid as well. He had 3 grabs for 38 yards. I don't like the fact that he did drop. It was a tough catch, but he did end up dropping it. He still should have had it and made it an interception in the red zone. It's 2 games in a row where we had within the 5-yard line and we don't get a point out of it. Not a single point. So you hate to see that as well. We tried to get Jaquan Jackson involved in offense, but I don't really feel like that did a whole lot of good. But that's all right. But as a whole, I would give our offense like a B-, C+. Maybe that sounds harsh because we did move the ball really well. But in the end, during regulation, we had 17 points. Again, imagine that, 17 points. That's our vice. I don't know. I don't understand it. On the defensive side of things, I thought Jack Gibbons had a really good game. Jack Gibbons, and I heard someone say this, and I don't remember who it was, so I apologize for not giving you the flowers you deserve. But Jack Gibbons on defense is the Nick Westbrook-Akina of offense, where it's like limited with with a lack of raw power and speed and strength, but just does all the just the little things right, and they're just as dependable as all get out. So kudos to you, Jack Gibbons, who kind of got replaced just a couple weeks before the season actually started. Now you found your way back into the starting role, and I thought he was fine. He had a half sack on the day. He had 5 tackles, 9 assists. Like he was flying around. Not really flying, but he was playing solid defense, in my humble opinion. So, edge rushers. I was happy with our edge rushers. We got a sack out of both of them. Arden Key had a sack. Landry had a sack. Joseph Day even had a half sack. Simmons had a sack, which is good because I had been saying that Simmons had more penalties on the season than he did big plays, but he did make a couple nice plays today. So that was nice to see. So kudos to you. Speaking of kudos to you again, Arden Key, because you're playing like you're trying to get traded out of here, which I will say, unless somebody coughs up a 5th for him, which I highly doubt somebody would, I want to keep Arden Key because he's only a 6.5 million next year. That's good quality, cheap depth. Now, I'm not in favor of us keeping him around to be the starter again, but 6 million for Arden Key, I'm okay with it. In the last 3 games, he has 4 sacks. So I'm good with that. Hooker. If I was having to choose the player of the game, it has to be Hooker for me. He had 2 interceptions. I don't remember if he had 1 coming into this game or if he had 2 coming into this game, but Monty Hooker, 2 on the day, and they were very nice. They were nice. One obviously sealed the game. Hooker, I think maybe he's a little overpaid. Maybe he's a little bit overpaid because the safety market is just not there right now. But when he makes plays like that, I'm like, all right, this is why we're okay with giving you 11-ish million a year, I think is what he's making. My memory serves me well. So kudos to Hooker. You get the game ball on defense for sure. Sweat. The thing about Sweat, and I feel bad for him because he may never get recognition that he deserves. Sweat's a guy that his presence is felt, but his stat sheet is empty oftentimes. Like today, 2 tackles. 2 tackles. That's all he's credited with. But there were so many times where he pushed the pile, or the pile would be moving, and then it would hit him, and the pile would stop. And there's just a lot of things like that, and pressures where he makes the quarterback roll out. So he does a lot. T'Vondre Sweat does a lot of things that just doesn't show up on the stat sheet. But I think he's doing good. Good in my book. That would change my mind because I wasn't overly joyed or happy with the pick when it first happened, but I'll take it. Nick Folk still being just as steady Eddie as ever. Maybe this is dumb to say. I'm okay with us signing him again next year. He missed 1 field goal last year. 1. This year, he has missed 0 field goals. It's insane how you can be that consistent, especially when we had that year or 2 time frame where we just were not getting field goals. We were like 55% on our field goals, which is insane. But yeah, so I guess we're getting closer to the end of the video. I'm gonna go ahead and say 2 bad things that came out of the game. Lloyd Cushenberry tore his Achilles. Not only did he tear it and he's out for season, but something like that, you never know when that might bleed into next season. Definitely will bleed into next off season. Like he's not going to be ready to go for no OTAs. I don't know about mini camp or training camp. I don't know what the exact time frame on that is, but you don't love to see that because to me, he was having a very good year. I don't remember if it's John Glennon or Joe Rexroad. One of them two always upload the stat of how many sacks and pressures were accredited to them each game on the offensive line. And every single week, Cushenberry is just like 0 sacks, 1, maybe 2 pressures. I'm just like, well spent on the money there. Even though I remember somebody put up a center power rankings before the season, and they had Aaron Brewer ranked as a better center than Lloyd Cushenberry. It's insane how people's value just go down when they go to the Titans. But anyways, that's a big loss for us. Thankfully, we're not actually making a push this year because if we were, that would be bad. And then the other guy, Quandre Diggs, he has some foot or ankle injury. He also is out for season, which is pity because he was quietly having a very good season as well. So again, as I just said, it's a good thing we weren't actually making a push for anything, because if we were, that'd be tough. That'd be tough losing those two in the same game. Two savvy vets. Yeah. So in the end, we won. Maybe it's not the best thing for our franchise to win right now, but as a Titans fan through and through, I can't help but just feel a little good in my heart, just a little bit. Next week's a winnable game as well against the Chargers. I could easily see us for no reason winning that game, and then suddenly we're 3-6. I'm like, ooh, they're starting to rope me back in again, and then we just start losing. So I don't know. I don't even know what I'm wanting. Like, I guess I want us to win, but I don't think it matters. But again, as a Titans fan, though, it's just so hard to get a win and not be at least a little bit happy. It was like last year, the last game of the season against the Jaguars, where I knew we needed to lose that game. We did. Because us sending Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill off the right way with a win and yada, yada, like, that didn't actually do anything for our franchise. Didn't do anything for Mike Vrabel either, because he got fired a couple days after that. But my heart was happy when it happened. It was. So sometimes I let my fandom get in the way of actual logic. But what can you do? What can you do? So I think that's all I got for today. I don't like making videos by myself, because when Josiah's here, if I'm thinking about where I want to take the direction of the show, or if I want to end it, I can kind of like just like think of it in silence while he's jabbering about something. And when he's not here, I feel myself just kind of like staring, not sure what to say. Dead air. It's a no in the podcasting world, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, I think that might be all I have. Thanks for joining in, to everyone that might have joined in, and for the people who end up watching it after we've gone live. Tighten up. We'll see what happens. I hope we don't start winning a game or two that we shouldn't, where I start getting my heart back into it, because when we got beat by the Bills and when we got beat by the Lions, I never even got angry. In fact, I even laughed a couple times when they'd score a big old touchdown. But maybe they will. We'll see. Let's be honest. Being a sports fan of any team, it's a very emotional thing. You see a side of yourself you don't like to see, but you also wouldn't trade it in for the world. So, yeah, with that said, I think I'm going to get on out of here. So tighten up, peace out, and all that jazz.